Alright, here it is. This is the tutorial to show you how to make a couple sliding doors. I've got two halves. I've got one that makes you push the button to open it and push the button to close it. And then I've got one at the second half that shows you how to just walk into the door and it will open. And then after a certain amount of time, it will close. So I've got a good one for you here, and you can combine this with a previous tutorial of mine, and this will improve your maps in a lot of ways, I'm sure, because everybody likes doors that function. I mean, it's cool, right? Alright, let's roll right into it. Okay, for map setup, you're going to need 4 objects. You're going to need 2 pointers, you're going to need your door that you want to move, and you're going to want a trigger, which in this case will be my button. The door, you're going to want to make sure is dynamic and it is phased, because if it's sliding door or opening, you don't want it to be like colliding with the object around it that it's in, so that way it can't open or something weird. So you're going to want that, and all that good stuff. It will still interact and, phase, won't let players through it, but it won't be broken or anything, so we're good. Make sure it's phased and dynamic. As for the pointers, these guys are important, super important. This one's going to be called door closed, and it's our first pointer. And you're going to notice when you look at the position of these two objects, the position is the exact same, because that's important, because this is going to be the location that the door returns to when it closes. Because when it's open, it's going to need to go back somewhere. And this is the way to prevent having to use like all these extra nodes and variables that, if you're not like a super big scripter like I wasn't at first, then this is the way to do it to prevent having to use too many extra nodes that involve a lot of numbers and vectors and all that good stuff. So that's why we're doing it like that. And then this is the point, this pointer right here is going to be where you want the door to be when it opens. So when it opens, it's going to move to this location, and this one's going to be to the right. So I'm going to have the right sliding door. You can have it up here for an up sliding door, down here for a down sliding door, to the left, wherever you want it. That's all up to you. So that's all you need for that. Name it door open. And if you have it sliding to the left or right, it's best to usually have it share the exact same Z coordinate as your door. So that way it's not like kind of sliding up or down in a weird way. Because I've had doors do that because I wasn't paying attention to it. Your button, you're just going to make sure that it's not one-time use and that you can actually use it. So initially empowered and initially disabled is off. That is the last of the map setup for the first half. So let's go ahead and knock this out. Bring them into the node graph with Y. And let's get to working on this. Okay, so we're going to start by declaring a couple of things. We're going to declare a Boolean variable. And it's one I've used before, but not often. The identifier, we're going to name this as open, and the initial value is off with scope local. What this does is, it's going to say, okay, is the door open? No. And that's what we're doing. At the beginning of the game, the door will not be open. You can see it is very well closed. So that's why we're going to have it as open? No, it's not, so it's false. Now we're going to use get Boolean variable. We're not going to like apply it yet, but we're going to go ahead and get it out here so we don't have to return to this node, because this is a trinity. We will be using a trinity for this node. Scope local, open is the identifier, and then lastly, let's go ahead and grab the set Boolean variable, and we're going to place it over here because it's going to be on this side. But we can go ahead and name it and fill our information. This will be changing later, but for now we're going to keep it like this until we get to this node. Okay, so the event is going to be in events custom, and oops, not that, on object interacted. Let's go with that. And the object we're going to be interacting with is our door button. So place it right here and plug it in just like that. So we're going to use a branch now, because what we're going to be doing is finding out if the door is open or closed when we activate this button. So go ahead and grab a branch from logic, plug it in like that. And then the condition is simply your Boolean variable, because that's being able to be switched between true and false. So it's going to be basing it off that. So the condition, it's going to be false as soon as the game starts because the door is closed. So we're going to go from there. The door is closed. So what do we want to do? We want to open it. So let's go to Objects, Transform, in the very bottom, grab Translate Object to Point. Place it right here. Connect this to the if false, because we're going to be opening the door. And since that is the object we will be moving, the door, I'm going to place it up here because we're going to be using a second one of these. So I'm going to place it here so that we can reach both of them and still look kind of neat. So go ahead and plug your door object into the object that we're going to be translating. Next, in the same category, we're going to grab get object position and place it right up under our translate object to point node. Plug the position in where it's supposed to go, and then the position we're going to be wanting to move it to is our open position. So we want the door to open. We want the door to move from closed to open. Translate object to point here is going to have the duration to whatever you want. I'm going to have it set to 3 seconds. However long do you think this door should take to open? That's what we're using here. Linear is the movement curve just for sliding doors. It makes the most sense and it looks the best. Now is where we plug in our set Boolean variable. Let's go ahead and plug it in at the end here. And we're going to set it to true because the door is now open. After this happens, after it moves to being opened, it is open. That's why we're doing it like that. And that's the end of this part. We're going to duplicate these 3 nodes right here. Copy. And I'm going to copy paste because it keeps them from getting spaghettified. Place them right about here. And the only thing with the settings we have to change is our set Boolean variable to false. Because what this is going to do is it's going to say, okay, is the door open? Yes, it is open. So it's going to close it. And when it's done, the door will be closed, which means it is not open. So false. Because of that, we're going to branch off of the if true and toggle this, or make it happen. Trigger it. Trigger, not toggle. And then we just need to plug in our objects here. Door closed into the object position this time, and our door. And that's it. That's your script. That will get it to work. So let's go ahead and test it on out and take a look at what we have here. Door's opening. Takes about 3 seconds to fully open. I'm assuming you have a wall here or wherever your doorway is, so that way it kind of doesn't float out in the middle of nowhere. And then you can close it again by pressing the button. This is your fully manual door that requires you to press a button to open and close it. And you can spam the button. It won't hurt nothing really. It just makes the door act a little funny, but it doesn't really hurt anything, and it will not break the script. So there you go. That's the first half. Now we're going to work with the second half where we can have the door open automatically when a player approaches it, and then close automatically without ever having to press any buttons. So because of that, we're going to be working with an area monitor, which I placed over here conveniently already set up, so that way I can explain it without having to do too much and increase the video length. You're going to want it to be an area monitor. So this second pointer right here, you can overlap it with the other one, like the door origin. That's perfectly okay. Just name it door monitor and make sure you can get it into your node graph. Have the boundary, make sure it is a boundary. Make sure that it can extend in front and behind the door a good little bit. And then, of course, up to cover the whole doorway. And just like that. That looks like a good, reasonable area to work with. And that's all we have to add to the map setup to really change anything. So for the script, we don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this or any of this. It's awesome. What we do need, though, is these. These are core. These are the only things that you need to make a door script. These are the only things you need. You need your trigger, of course, but I meant like for this specific door script, you just need these two right here. So to kick this off, these will be in the same exact line, but I'm going to have the door open over here instead. There we go, just like that. So what we're going to do, since it's an area monitor, we go into events and we go to on object entered area. Just like that. And then we go down here to our variables basic and grab an area monitor. And then we need to bring in our area monitor object, which is our door monitor. Plug everything in like it's supposed to. Oop, that doesn't go there. That goes there. Area monitor and the area monitor. There we go. Now we're going to need a branch because we're going to make sure that only a player or an AI, you can add an exception with a Boolean logic for it to be AI as well. So I'll go ahead and do that because if you don't have AI, it won't hurt anything anyway. But we're going to plug in this like this. So now let's grab the players from players. Get is player. Oops. There you go. Wow. I'm going to place you down here then. And then we're also going to go to AI Advanced and use get is AI. Awesome. Now we need to go down here to logic and grab a Boolean logic. Go ahead and plug in the object to the one that entered the area. So that way it's reading, okay, this object entered the area. What is it? Is it an AI or is it a player? Yes. Then something happens. Just like that. That way it's a player or an AI. So if you don't have any AI, no problems. Your door will still function flawlessly. And if you do have AI, the AI can access this door as well. Now, since it's true, we're going to need from our objects category, delete object, because we're going to be deleting our trigger. That way it doesn't multi-trigger. So go ahead and delete your area monitor object, which is your door monitor. As soon as you open the door, as soon as you walk into it, it's going to delete it. And the door will open, which is why we can now connect delete object to this. Now, we're going to move this, because if you want the door to stay open for a period of time instead of opening and then immediately starting to close once it is done opening, then you can throw in this wait for n seconds here in between these two. You don't have to change anything about these right here. You can just leave them as they are. We just connect the different nodes to them. And the seconds I'm going to have wait is, I don't know, 1.5. 1.5 sounds good. And then lastly, all we need to do is grab from our objects, our spawn object node, because we're going to be placing our trigger back. We're going to be making sure our trigger is able to be triggered again after this amount of time, which in total will take about 9 seconds. No, just kidding. It's going to take 7.5 seconds to fully cycle. With that, it's ready. So let's go ahead and try it out. Because you don't want a grenade opening the door. You don't want the door to trigger it too. But if we walk, the door opens. Awesome. And now the door will begin to close automatically without having to do anything. And the trigger works again. But if I do it again, the trigger's not spawned yet. So we can't keep triggering the door. It will only trigger once a player's there. And if you're inside of it, whenever it spawns, it will automatically open once more. So you don't have to worry about anything like that. That's how you get doors to work on a timer. So you don't actually need this as your trigger. You can actually have this as any trigger you want, and it will still function like that. You can get rid of this or whatever, and then you can have whatever trigger you want, and then it will still open automatically or open based on your trigger, and then close automatically, and then have your trigger be able to trigger it again. So yeah, there you go. I'll include 2 prefabs, one with the original with the button, and then one with this one as well. So no worries there. But that is how you make a functioning door, sliding door specifically, for your maps. And there it is. Hopefully this covers a good bit of these sliding doors. There's a bunch of different ways to make doors, but this is the simplest method I've found for just doors in general. And most doors just seem to slide in Halo anyway. There's not a lot of swinging doors or hinge doors, anything like that. But there are ways to make them, and I'll probably cover them at a later date. But this is how you do it. And hopefully it helped, and I'll see you on the next one.